You should be trying to be that person with that different perspective. Fight for that training. Fight for that trip to that conference. Get you out there. Fight for the time, those 2 hours a week, to do that surfing, to become familiar with the message boards. There's other people out there doing stuff. Steal shamelessly. But it's also processes and values. One of the debates I had was, I said, you know, when we do this performance evaluation, we say, oh, are you a team player? Oh, okay. A little check mark there for team player. Do you communicate well? Oh, yeah. So is one of those things innovation? No, it's not. It's not. We don't grade people on innovation. If they don't grade you on it, it must not be important enough to put in our value system. Our processes, do they allow for time for people to think creatively, innovatively? If they don't, how can you expect to be innovative? You'll never be innovative without that. All these things need to be open to innovation as part of what your genetic material of your company is. If they're not, you can expect not to get that education, not to get the opportunity, and eventually the company is the one that's going to suffer. Don't let the company suffer, and don't let yourself suffer as an individual. You've got to be asking for these things. So just to tell you what we're doing in terms of trying to make innovation part of our company. And there are the steps up there for you to read. And this is tough. This is really tough. There's a book out, I think I mentioned in a slide or two, called The Innovator's Dilemma. Anybody ever read that by Clay Christensen? It's a great book. Basically says, look, the problem is just what I've been trying to say all the time. You've got to meet the quarter, meet the month, meet the whatever, and it doesn't allow for innovation. And that's a problem. It'll kill you. It'll kill you. And the book is full of examples about what happens. He talks about the mini mills, the mini steel mills, where they basically take and reprocess old steel, right, versus the integrated mills that start with the pellets. Well, his example is where they started at the bottom of the quality thing, and the reaction by the company, the U.S. Steels, was, I'll let them go, they can have the bottom of the barrel. But what ended up happening is now, the people that make the mini mills are buying the people who were the integrated ones, because they made all the money. In our own business, American Greetings and Hallmark too, for the longest time we kept raising prices to where if you buy cards, and I know you guys don't because you're guys, okay? By the way, 95% of cards are bought by women, so don't feel ashamed, you're not alone. Okay, but they gradually took the average price for a card from $2 to $3.50, and we're sitting on enjoying the money rolling in. Well, what happened was technology came along, and where it used to cost hundreds of millions of dollars to buy presses and get paper and ink and all this stuff to make greeting cards, technology dropped the price of a really good quality press to $500,000. Well, ended up happening, you ever hear of the dollar card stores? That's how they do it. They don't have the cost structure that AG has inherited and maintained, and they don't have all the overhead. So they can offer a card for $1 and make a good a profit on it when we can't. And we were caught. And when it came out, AG said, "Oh, that's not going to catch on. Who wants to buy a dollar card?" Turns out, guess what? Lots of people want to buy dollar cards because they're sick and tired of paying $3.50. Again, you guys wouldn't know. You're guys. You don't buy cards, and when you do, you don't care because it's Valentine's Day and you just got to buy it anyway. But a lot of people care. So now they're all looking at their cost, AG's and Hallmark too, looking at their cost structure. We have to find a way to offer a dollar card and make a profit on it. And that's going to take innovation. Anyway, this is This is what we're trying to, this is hard. This is hard. Again, the book tells you why it's hard, and believe me, it is. We're not making a lot of progress on this. This was a plan that I put together in November. Here it is, April. And I got to tell you, we're still struggling to do this. That's 5 months. We have very little to show for it. Again, it's hard. We're trying to do this with the head of the European Mobile Group. Well, he's got his own troubles. What do you want to do, John? Don't talk to me now. I'm busy, you know. How about you, Brian? What do you want to do in California for the U.S. Mobile Group? Don't bother me. I'm busy, you know. How can you do innovation when everybody's... So we're struggling. It's tough. It really is. All these things we've tried, and avoiding dashing people's hopes and dreams. You know, we got together this group of creative people and said, gee, brainstorm, what can we do? What can we do? We came up with this idea list. And we said, we're not going to disappoint them. When they give us it, we're going to give it serious consideration, and we're going to do something. And we haven't. And those people aren't going to come back. And they're very creative people. Okay. I'm going to skip that one. That's just making the point that maybe if you're lucky, there's some place in your company, if you're in a larger company, that has some sort of group that's doing the innovation. Now, if there is, you want to piggyback on it. What I'm going to show you is the process that our AG corporate group is actually trying to install at corporate to build this pipeline of ideas. There it is. It's a great thing about working for like a card company. They're very colorful things, you know, and they're very creative when it comes to it. I mean, look at that. Get the story, get the idea, get it started, makes you want to just get going, right? I mean, clever. I mean, I didn't have to create that. So this is what they're doing. They have this process that allows people to submit ideas, and it goes through these gates. Much like, we talked about Procter & Gamble, right? In order to come out with good products, you got to have, at the end, you got to start with a lot of ideas and filter them down, right? You got to do that. You can't expect everyone to be a winner. It just isn't going to happen. Fail often, but fail early. So this is their process that they've got. And so remember I told you about stealing shamelessly? We stole that. So we're trying to do that too. But you can steal this one. But hopefully you're in a company that's got one like this. If you don't, that's a warning sign. Tell them they ought to have one. Otherwise they're going to be like AG. Tell them about the dollar stores. Do you want to be like AG in the dollar stores? No, you don't. You want to be the dollar store guy. Those are the guys that were being innovative. They figured it out. The technology dropped that cost of entry, boom. Be the dollar store guy. Okay. So it's easy to get started. And again, whether you're an individual, you're a manager, you run your own company, there's stuff out there. If you want to go out to Amazon and type in innovation, okay, you get like, I don't know, maybe somebody can do it when you're online. Somebody do that for me. Who can a volunteer? Can you get on Amazon, search, type in the word innovation, tell me how many titles come back. So while he's doing that, these are 3 of my favorite books. They're really good. Part of it is just seeing somebody's already tackled this, or thought it through, and probably much better than you or I can. So steal. It's a great reading, easy reading, and I think some great points. They're eye openers, because I read this book, The Innovator Solution. It was given to me by a young lady who's an entrepreneur here in town, and I put it on my shelf for about a year. And then one day I got around to reading it, and I'm going, oh crap, I should have read this a year ago. I gave it to my boss. My boss goes, oh, geez, this is us. We're gonna go the same route that the steel mills were, because we could see it was a problem. So he takes it and he gives it to corporate. Well, 3 months later, at a management meeting, we had Clay Christensen come in. We paid this guy a speaker's fee of some unheard of amount, and he came in and he spoke to the entire senior AG corporate team about this. It was a wake-up call to the whole company. Wow. Sort of like that guy we sent out about, that saw the IRS thing. What a series of events. So just by that lady giving me this book, we had this guy in, and we started all these programs. It's a wake-up call. Sometimes it's very humbling that you're in danger of becoming like the steel mills. How many did you get?
11,508.
11,000 plus, okay? So there's plenty of books out there. Obviously fertile ground. A lot of people are thinking about this, and you can get as many ideas that you want. By the way, the weird ideas that work, they're the ones that have the people that you don't like. Get the people that make you feel uncomfortable. That's one of the quotes from there. Get that Scott, get that person that makes you feel uncomfortable. Here's two good websites. You can spend I used to get their weekly emails, but then I fell into that 2 hours a week. I couldn't keep up. They're just generating ideas all the time. White papers, free, great advice on structure, either at the individual level or for companies, and how you build innovation into your company. It's out there. It's yours for the taking. Nobody does it, or very few people do. And the reason is you got to meet the month, you got to meet the quarter, you got to meet the year. We don't have any budget, yada, 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 okay? It's reality today. But the sad part of that reality is that it's killing the creativity. It's killing it. The people that I see the most creative, I think I may have a slide on this. I think I do. Hang on. Part of what I stole this last week from one of those websites was this. Innovation DNA. Oh, how cool. Somebody puts it in a framework like that. And he talks about all this stuff. Leadership, again, it's a nice structure. And the whole point of it, you just keep going out there and you keep finding stuff and steal it. Steal it. I love these guys. Anybody familiar with Nottingham and Spurk? They're local. Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Yes.
Works there.
You've done work there?
No, my best friend works there.
Oh, okay. Wonderful place. It's here in town. Okay? They had a building on what, Bellflower? Okay, and so they're in town. These two guys, wonderful guys, John Nottingham and John Spurk, strangely enough. And they're like two artists that graduated from Cleveland School of Art and figured out they had to make a living. Oh, how sad was that, right? So not as artists, but they're basically an idea firm. Idea firm. Oh, how cool is that? And they're very successful, and they're wonderful gentlemen to meet and speak with. But one of the things they early had was the spin pop. Now, how two artists came up with the spin pop, I have no idea. But they basically figured out by that they could go out to China and for pennies come up with this assembly that allowed them to rotate something with a battery, and they put a lollipop on it, and they sold it, and sold millions. Millions. Now, what a great thing. Had nothing that ever suggested that would be an area of interest to kids. It was novel, and so they made a lot of money. So they're sitting around one day going, okay, we have mastered the art of outsourcing little mechanical projects to China for pennies, and basically the spin pop allowed you to spin. So what can we do with that? Well, that's the next slide here. Next item here. Anybody have one of these Crest toothbrushes? Hey, I got one. I got one. The market, when they entered the market for electric toothbrushes, was 3 million units a year. And no one would ever want to enter a market like that. There are already 5 or 6 competitors. Who would want another electric toothbrush, by the way? Well, these guys said, well, we got the spin pop.